your teens, you can get away with making bad decisions and basically being kind of stupid, because that's what you do when you're a teenager, right? You make decisions, typically they're going to be bad, you're going to learn, and then in your 20s, this is the time where we as men should be starting to figure things out, right? Whether or not it's who we are as a man or as a person, what we want in life, and where we're actually going. And by the age of 30, you should have a pretty clear direction in terms of where you want to go, but also just, you can't be a fucking moron anymore, right? You gotta be smart enough to realize a few things, and that's what I want to talk about today. First thing is, nobody's coming to save your ass. Right? At 30 years old, you're a man. Deal with it. And if you're still living in your parents' home, it's time to grow the hell up. It's time to get your own place. It's time to get your own car. It's time to get a job. If you are still relying on people to give you a handout, you are not where you need to be. Which brings me to number 2, and that is stop taking things so personally, right? When you're younger, at least I know for me, like I felt like everything was like directed at me, right? Which brings me to the third thing that you should be smart enough to realize by the age of 30. The world doesn't revolve around you. Regardless of if that sounds like weird or kind of like egocentric, the fact is, I think a lot of us get into this mindset of, oh my God, everybody is judging me. You're worried that everybody else is judging you, and the truth is that they're not even thinking about you. And I'm not saying that to be a dick, I'm just letting you know that you don't need to worry about it. You can take it off the table, which brings me to the next thing you need to realize, and that is you better take some risks, right? If you are going to play it safe like you have been, you are never truly going to excel at anything. And for the record, fuck your friends. That's the next thing you got to be smart enough to realize. All right, if you're still hanging out with the same losers you've been hanging out with that are not going anywhere, and you expect to someday be great and do amazing things, you gotta stop being stupid. You got to stop thinking that if you keep hanging out with these people that are not going anywhere, that they're not like somehow rubbing off on you, all right? They say you're the sum or the average of the 5 closest people, the people you spend the most time with. Well, if the 5 people are like kind of losers, guess what? You're a loser. If you want to change it, you got to break the cycle. You got to break the habit. You got to break up with some people, which brings me to the next thing you better be smart enough to do, and that is break up with people that don't deserve your time, don't deserve your energy, don't deserve your friendship. Fact. You're awesome. The other fact is that unfortunately sometimes awesome people are surrounded by mooches, by losers, by leeches, people that are toxic, that aren't good for us. And until you realize, yo, I want to be awesome, and yo, I need to protect myself, you're never going to truly ascend or be the man that you desire to be. You gotta set them down. You gotta set them down, you gotta walk away. Your image and your personal presentation matters, right? And this is something that when you're younger, you're like, oh, I can dress like a punk, and it doesn't matter because I'm kind of a punk. But once you start to get a little bit older, you gotta understand what you put out there to the world in terms of your appearance, your image, your scent, your body language, the way you communicate matters. It matters greatly. First 3 seconds, boom, somebody just formed an opinion on you based solely on the nonverbal communicating that you're doing. What you look like, how you stand, how you shake hands, your eye contact, not to mention how you smell. Icon. Gentlemen, if you are ready to smell sexy as hell, I want you to hit that link down below and check out the newest addition to the Pete and Pedro fragrance line. Icon has just launched, it is dropped, and it is unbelievably sexy. The inspiration fragrance is Creed's Millésime Impérial. It's light, it's fresh, it's bright, it's sexy, it's clean, it's crisp, and this bad boy is a panty dropper of epic proportion. But real talk, seriously, this fragrance is incredible. The way that I discovered it, basically, I was looking for a new fragrance to be inspired by, and so I went to Neiman Marcus. And so I spent like 3 hours there, and I was testing all the like super premium expensive fragrances, right? And I'd spray them on a card, and I'd run up to all these people, and whichever one won, I would keep, right? Well, the one that came back as the winner consistently was Millésime Impérial, and I knew that that was a fragrance. And then I sprayed it on, I went home, I went up to my wife, and she goes, oh my God, what are you wearing? I said, the new Pete and Pedro fragrance. And she goes, I love it. It's so sexy, it is clean, it's crisp, everybody is gonna love this. And I knew we had a winner. Gentlemen, this fragrance, we have knocked it out of the fragrance park. If you want to check it out, guys, I'm going to link to it down below. Supplies are limited. We're doing a drop, which means we only got a limited supply. And so once we sell out of this fragrance, it's gone and never coming back. And so if you're interested in checking out Icon and grabbing a bottle for yourself, gentlemen, hit the link down below. The regular price, just to let you know, of Millésime Impérial is like $450 a bottle. All right, Icon is under 50, and with that discount code down below, which is for a limited time, it's ridiculous in terms of the price. You will never smell better for a more affordable price. Guys, hit the link down below. Icon is amazing, and you are gonna smell sexy as hell. The next thing you better be smart enough to realize by the age of 30 is that all the dumb stuff you were doing to your body, right, is gonna catch up to you. You better clean up your act, all right? Get your shit together, my friend. You gotta make sure you stop eating all the trash. You gotta stop drinking and boozing and doing all the things that are destroying your body. You gotta make sure you're in the gym. You gotta start taking better care of your most precious asset, which is your health. You've gotta start thinking of your body and your health as an asset that you need to protect. And if you protect it, it's going to basically pay you dividends, right? It is an investment. You need to invest in your overall physical well-being and health. Eat right, don't drink, don't smoke, right? Don't do drugs, don't sleep with dirty, spicy senoritas, even if they're not super spicy. Don't do it. And unfortunately, some of you are gonna hear me say this and you're gonna still put it off and be like, whatever, fuck it, alpha, whatever, you don't know what you're talking about. I do, because I'm almost 50 years old and I've seen a lot. I've had things happen with me physically and personally. I've also had loved ones die out of the blue. And I'm telling you, no amount of money, no amount of spicy senoritas, no amount of anything can get your health back once it's gone. Don't squander it. The next thing you better be smart enough to do by the age of 30 is listen more, talk less, all right? I don't want you boasting and bragging and just running that mouth. I want you to listen. And if there's somebody that's talking that's been where you want to go or is where you want to be, you better listen a little bit harder. Don't think of people as competition. Think of them as assets and educational tools that you can learn from. This was one of the big mistakes that I made when I was growing up, right? I viewed other people as competition, right? If they had more than me or they did better than me, I was jealous, honestly. And I'd be like, oh, it's fair. And I should have went to them and asked them, hey, how did you do this? What did you do? How can I learn from you or take what you've done and apply it to me so that I can be where you are or where you were or where you're going? Right? It's about not being jealous. It's about being humble and being smart enough to realize that other people probably know more than you. Just because somebody's pretty or attractive doesn't mean they're a good person. And if somebody's not a good person, don't give them attention, don't give them money, don't give them your affection or love. Because your stuff, it's too valuable to give to somebody who is not deserving. All right? You also need to stop watching as much porn. I'm just gonna be honest. Right? All the simping, all the looking at Instagram and TikTok and all those sites, right? It's doing nothing good for you. Actually, it's doing bad things to you. And until you realize it and decide, you know what, I need to be better for me, which in turn is going to make me better for somebody else, you got to understand that in order to basically have a happy, healthy relationship, it's not just that person, it's you. You are not going to find the person that you should be with until you are the person that you should be with. All right, does that make sense? You've got to do the deep work. You've got to get over some of the shit that's been holding you back. You got to forgive some people that might have wronged you, including yourself. You can't harbor resentment and you can't hold on to the past, right? You can't change tomorrow. Nobody's been able to. But the future, today, that's what you should be shooting for, right? Nobody is guaranteed tomorrow. And I know that that also is a cliche, but once you understand that, you're going to treat each day a little bit more preciously. Because the truth is that by 30 years old, you better have a good idea of where you want to go. By 30 years old, you need to start solidifying a path and a plan, right? Your 20s, that's when you're fucking things up and figuring it out, right? But by 30 years old, in your 30s, at least by 40, you need to have a clear direction, or at least a good idea, a North Star. It's okay to change plans, paths, and directions. All right, by staying on a path that you know is wrong or with a person that is wrong too long, you've wasted time. And time, it goes by super fucking fast. I can tell you that from experience. It's like I blinked and I'm almost 50. It seems like just yesterday I was making those stupid decisions. But the good news is that I'm wiser, I'm smarter, and hopefully this video will help you do the same.